Today we're going to be talking about the different types of gloves that you're going to be using for wheelchair racing, and we're going to be talking about some different training tips around volume and intensities for your workout. So lots of stuff to cover this week, so let's get right into it. A lot of beginners, when they start out with wheelchair racing, often, it's kind of this thing like, what am I going to use to push? A lot of people would start out with some gardening gloves. Better than nothing, really. Because you definitely don't want to push on your bare hands, because that will leave you with some really bad blisters. So having some simple gardening gloves that you can get in any hardware store, they gotta cost you about $5 and really gonna save your hands. So when you first start pushing, even if it's in your day chairs, I would really recommend for you to get some of those gardening gloves. Of course, as soon as you're starting to get a little bit more in terms of your mileage, you're getting your own racing chair, we would really recommend to start out with some sort of a wheelchair pushing gloves. Right now, it comes down to either a pair of soft gloves or a pair of hard gloves, okay? So let's just see what are the differences. Obviously, soft gloves are, they're softer, so they're meant almost a bit like a boxing gloves, okay? Generally, I recommend for beginners to start off with the soft gloves. They give you a much better grip. They give you more safety. It really protects your full hand, and you have a really wide surface that you can hit your rims on, okay? Soft gloves are often preferred by the sprinters as well. They will give you a bit of better grip at the start, and especially if it's raining too, you will get a little bit of a better grip with those soft gloves because they really go round. So right now, I would say for the sprints, you still see more athletes using the soft gloves over the hard gloves, okay? The downside of the soft gloves is you're losing more energy with every push. So the transfer is a little bit less in terms of the energy. There was a study done at the University of Illinois that actually compared the soft gloves to the hard gloves. And what they found out was that in the acceleration phase, the soft gloves are just as good as the hard gloves. When it comes to top speed and maintaining pace, hard gloves are actually your way to go. Now, in the olden days, hard gloves, or still, athletes are making their own hard gloves by melting rubber, the pellets that you can buy to your hands. Now, again, in Illinois, Aero from Ingenium came up with a really neat way of 3D printing hard gloves. So this is a 3D printed hard glove by Ingenium. There's now another company too in Canada who 3D prints gloves. That's Revolution Sports. So those are two companies right now that are doing 3D printing for gloves. You can get different sizes depending on your hand. You have to measure your hands. The basic Ingenium ones go with a flat surface. It's somewhere similar in terms of getting contact as you would with the soft gloves. And I actually like it if people switching over from soft gloves to hard gloves to go with a little bit of a wider design. The other design is with a groove, a V groove. When you have a V groove, you really got to be sure about the push on your rim, because if you're missing that rim, it's not going to be nice. And obviously, you're not going to go as fast as you should. So making a transition, you might want to look a little bit of this wider base design versus the V design. And then, of course, what I like about the Revolution gloves, they actually have a little bit of a gift to it. So it's almost a bit of an in-between the soft gloves and the hard gloves, okay? So again, we have some athletes that prefer the soft gloves, some athletes that prefer the hard gloves. I am really excited about the 3D printing. I think the opportunities or the possibilities are there to come up with a real different designs that could be customized to your hands, because as we know, wheelchair racers especially the lower classes, they don't have full grip strength. So having a good fitting glove is really important. And of course, making good contact. One of the things when it comes to gloves, what I would recommend for you to look at different type of clister. Again, Revolution Sports in Canada sells some of those clisters. They come in a tube, and it's basically a sticky material that you can put onto your gloves. Now you just open up the top when it comes open. It's a little bit cold right now, but I can get it up. So it comes right out like this, and you just tap a little bit onto your gloves, and that will actually make your gloves stickier, especially in rain. So that's another good advice. Try to experiment a little bit around with that sticky stuff, and also train in rain. It's important to keep on training even if it's raining, because you never know at a competition it could be raining, and if you never train in rain, you don't know how to push. You don't know what the best type of glove is to push in rain. All right, so this is about gloves. Please comment on the bottom of our video if you have any questions relating gloves. We'd be more than happy to answer any questions. And also let us know, what are your favorite type of gloves to push on? Last week's show we talked a little bit about interval training on the roller, and we had some great discussions with coaches and athletes from around the world. It was actually really fun to have you guys contributing to our show. So one question that came from Brazil actually was talking about what should be the mileage that my athlete should be doing to train for a marathon. Now this is a very individual question. Of course it depends on how long this athlete has been training. You shouldn't increase your mileage too quick to a too high kind of a mileage, okay? So generally in the coaching world, we say about 10 to maximum 20% more kilometers per year in increase. So very often, you know, for a marathon training program, you will see at least 100 kilometers a week, okay? And that's more of for a beginner. As we progress through the years, some of the athletes will do up to 250 kilometers. I would say if you're aiming somewhere between 150 and 200 kilometers, you're right in there. I think that's a very good distance. You should be doing some long pushes, okay, up to almost the marathon distance. As a wheelchair racer, you can really recover quite quick. It's not like the runners. You can do a lot more mileage, come back the next day and feel good again. That's why we're seeing Marcel Hoogs and the Daniela Scher or Manuela Schers of the world. They can do multiple, or Tatiana McFadden, they can do multiple marathons back to back, 1 week after the other. It's not like runners where they have to recover from the pounding. So that means you can also, in your training, you can up the mileage by quite a bit. The other question came down from States, from Mark, and he asked about the intensities for the intervals. How do you calculate your percentage in your intervals, especially on the roller? Now on the roller, it's actually quite easy. What we would do is do a top speed test. So knowing your top speed, the highest speed you can go on the roller, from there we can then calculate our percentage. Let's say you can hit 30 kilometers per hour on the roller, and you want to go at 90%. Well, 90% of 30 kilometers would be 27 kilometers per hour. A lot of the intervals you'll be doing on the rollers are between 85 and 95%. So having that is a good measurement, especially on the roller. It's very consistent, so you don't need to worry about up and downs or winds, tailwinds, and headwinds. Okay. If you're on the road, it's a little harder to do that. So you have to go more by feeling. You can't just go by speed, because obviously when you're going downhill, you can go a lot faster at the same effort. So it becomes a little bit harder. And that's where I really encourage you to listen to your body. You want to get to know your body, and if you're doing intervals, how long can you maintain at a consistent pace or a consistent effort level? That really is the most important. You don't want to start out really fast so you die at the end. You want to try to stay as consistent as possible. Okay, so this is it about for today's show. If you have any questions about training intensity, please comment, please send us messages, and of course, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're bringing you the best information on wheelchair racing, so stay tuned. Next week or the next show, we're going to be talking about the IWAS World Championships. We're going to do a little bit of a report of that, and we'll also talk about more training tips to come. Stay tuned. My name is Yuli Albert, and this is the GWA Show.